President Bola Tinubu has vowed to keep promoting the rule of law and adhere to the principles of separation of powers while also welcoming dissenting views within the ambit of the law. The president said his administration had made steady progress in the effort to rebuild the country through legal and judicial reforms. Represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima at the annual General Conference of the Nigerian Bar Association, President Tinubu acknowledged the NBA's sterling history of championing democratic ideals as well as promoting the rule of law. Tinubu urged Nigerian lawyers and other citizens to join hands with his administration in working towards a great Nigeria. Buharis news analyst Dayo Sobowale joins us now to react to President Tinubu's promise of judicial reform and adherence to the rule of law. Good afternoon. It's good to have you here again on Newsday. I was about to say the morning show on Newsday.
It's a pleasure being here as usual.
Okay, so we've heard those comments from the president. Only I think it was a few days ago, just over the weekend, we saw the swearing in of Justice, who is now the CJN, Kekere Ekun, and her herself had come and spoken about these reforms. But when you speak about the general body language of the president, do you think that we are on the right track for these reforms as needed in our country?
What is his body language? What is his body language?
I'm talking about the announcement that was made and then...
Look, let us face the announcement and leave his body language out of it. They spoke at the opening at the Nigerian Bar Association conference. And what he said was that he was trying to defend his own record and governance, you get me? Against the accusation that he's probably acting against the rule of law. And Shettima represented him. And their argument is that they have kept the rule of law by maintaining separation of powers. You have to follow that to say that things are otherwise. And they have reasons for that. And again, the other issue is about dissent, that they have not been able to tolerate dissent. But like I said there the other time, the 10-day strike, which just concluded, is a massive demonstration of dissent. And it went on. And people are still demonstrating, people are still remonstrating with government, and this government is still pleading with people to let it breathe, literally. So, on the rule of law, the NBA, they've just started their conference. They were in my church, Christ Church Cathedral, yesterday, so I saw them. You know, there are so many young lawyers in Nigeria, and so many of them are ladies like you. So that is the nature of our politics, and that is where I will stop there for now. Let me have the next question.
All right, let's talk about separation of powers, since, you know, that was a notable speaking point. And let's look at the track record so far of the National Assembly, specifically of the Senate. So some would say that this Senate is proving so far to be a rubber stamp assembly. So can we really say that between the presidency and the assembly, the legislation, that there's truly a separation of powers happening?
There is separation of powers, but you can only say, like you said, maybe the legislation is always assenting to whatever comes from the presidency, the executive.
The executive, yes.
And from the executive. But this time, we are talking of rule of law. So the issue is between the executive and the judiciary. Get me? And that is what they are laying their claim of abiding by separation of powers on. They just increased the salaries of the judges by 300%.
Yeah.
The idea is to make them incorruptible, so that if they are well fed, well housed, they will not succumb to bribery and corruption. I think that's their claim there, that they have maintained the separation of powers. You can't fault it. You see, you need to compare with other places, like in the US now. You know what is going on? Trump had only one term and was lucky enough to appoint 3 judges into the Supreme Court. They had a majority of 6-3, and they have changed so many things. and they are at each other's throat. That is their own constitution. You get me? The Democrats will say, in fact, the Democrats are trying to limit the tenure of the judges from lifetime because they think they've been bought over by the Republican Party. If you don't like what is going on, they go to court. But in our own system now, you have the executive trying to make the judiciary comfortable. That is the nature of our own politics. And hopefully, when the judges are well housed and well paid, they will give a judgment that is blind to anybody, no matter whose ox is God. That is okay. Unlike in other places, again, Mexico, they are protesting because they are trying to say that judges should now be elected. So they have to get money now from the bench to contest. That cannot happen here now. Israel, they are protesting too. But our own, we cannot protest because the judges are confident. And we hope, hopefully, they will be able to give judgments that are neutral and are just. So that is the issue for now. Next question.
Okay, Mr. Sobowale, let's move away now from the president's body language to what we have on ground.
Yes, better.
Dissenting voices and human rights violations.
Yes.
While President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has pledged to tolerate dissenting views within the bounds of the law, we're seeing reports of, government crackdown on protests, even with the arrest of Adejuwon, I forget his surname now, God forgive me. But we see
holding brief for him.
Adejuwon was arrested on Sunday, and we know that about 100 journalists have been arrested in this current administration. So what does that say to the president's commitment of upholding democratic principles? The senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, has highlighted these illegal ongoing arrests and detainment by law enforcement agencies, despite existing laws that are prohibiting such actions. So what should the president be doing to address these violations and ensure that law enforcement agencies actually adhere to the rule of law?
That's right. I don't want to be biased. We're all journalists. I don't want to get involved in that. Get me? But under the rule of law, if an accusation is made against you, you are presumed innocent until proven otherwise.
Yes.
Let the law take its course. You see, because whatever I say now, it seems as if I'm biased. You get me? But the government is being monitored by civil rights groups like the lawyer you just mentioned now. But you see, he seems to be hunting with the hunter and running with the hunted. You get me? He is involved with the trade union or something. He's a solicitor to human rights people whose rights have been on what is his role really. That's the conflict of interest. Get me? And then you see, you have to be careful with the way this information is used to create instability in our system. If you read the news over the weekend, in France, the chief executive of a major news was
Telegram.
Yes, he was detained, and people are even warning this
Elon Musk.
That's right, to be careful because they are drafting laws because they have discovered that dissemination of false news, fake news, disinformation have been leading to unrest and political unrest. So government can preside over its own liquidation because it wants to respect dissent. Democracy is the winner must serve his way, the loser must serve his say, and they should balance things. And at the end of the day, government is responsible for the maintenance of law and order to protect all of us from anarchy.
And talking about protecting us from anarchy, I think one of the biggest, if I would call it, testing moments in terms of management of anarchy and so forth for this administration, of course, was the End Bad Governance protests. Now, when we look at that, we see that several of the protesters still remain behind bars, yet to be charged. And there was also reported to be, from the CSOs, to be a death toll, but no real confirmation coming from the authorities and so forth. My question to you is, when we're talking about the rule of law, it can't just apply to, abiding to the law. It also has to do with people having their day through the judicial system. Now, we are already almost a month out of that End Bad Governance protest, and there's still protesters languishing behind bars with no known charges to them, no legal processes underway. So is it accurate for us to really boast that we are promoting and upholding the rule of law at the moment?
I don't think you listen to the police IG. This press conference held by the chief of staff and all this. Somebody raised the issue that people are supposed to be tried, and he said there are trials ongoing, or even right there in police barracks and so on. So don't let us prejudge issues. I will not hold brief for the police. I'm a journalist, and I don't want anybody's rights battered. You get me? Or trampled on. You get me? But you see, let us try to sift news. You get me? BBC has a section for that. BBC Verify. They verify literally everything. And I won't say we are acting on rumors, but let us, even as journalists, try to sift the news we have. Then we will maintain our independence and integrity as professionals. Because the press is the fourth estate of the realm. It's to hold government accountable. It must do it responsibly and professionally too. Yes.
All right, then. Thank you so much, Mr. Sobowale. You've really broken it down for us and taken a look at what's at stake here for the Nigerian people in accordance to the rule of law.